The final exam was close and she was failing. Lina sat in the cold lecture hall, staring at the glowing alien symbols on her tablet. Her hands were shaking. The intergalactic history exam was only 5 days away, and she was failing. She had tried everything, late nights, extra reading, even help from a study robot, but nothing worked. The alien subjects confused her. Too many names, dates, wars between species she couldn't even pronounce. Professor Thayrun walked across the front of the class. Tall, thin, and covered in gray scales, he looked like a walking statue. His 4 eyes scanned the students with calm but terrifying focus. He stopped near Lina. She looked away, hoping he wouldn't notice her. "Miss Lina," his deep echoing voice said, "stay after class." Her heart dropped. After class, the other students hurried out. Some gave Lina a quick glance, most ignored her. Humans weren't popular in the alien academy of Corex Prime. They called her slow, fragile, or worse, useless. She stood before the professor, holding her tablet like a shield. "I know I'm failing," she said quickly. "I'll try harder. Please don't report me. I don't want to get expelled." Thayrun studied her silently. "You are failing, yes, but not because you are weak. You lack connection." Lina blinked. "Connection? To the truth," he said. "History is not words in a book. It is something deeper, something you must feel, something you must see." She frowned. "I don't understand." He turned and walked to the door. "If you wish to pass, meet me at the south gate tonight, 1 hour after sunset. Come alone." She stared at him in confusion. "Why? What are we doing?" "Your real lesson," he said, "and your only chance to pass." Then he left. That evening, Lina stood near the academy's south gate. The twin moons were high in the sky. Cold wind brushed against her skin. Her heart beat fast. This felt wrong, dangerous, but so was failing. She saw a tall shadow moving toward her. It was Thayrun. He carried a long staff and wore a dark travel cloak. "You came," he said. "I want to pass," Lina replied, unsure. "Then, follow." They walked in silence, moving away from the city lights and into the strange forest beyond the school grounds. The trees here were tall and glowing. Their leaves shimmered blue and gold. Strange insects buzzed quietly. Some flew close to Lina's face and vanished. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "To the Forbidden Zone," he answered. Her eyes widened. "That place is restricted. The Academy says it's dangerous, because it holds the truth," he said simply. "And the Academy fears truth." After walking for half an hour, they reached a glowing river. A narrow, broken bridge stood over it. Thayrun crossed carefully. Lina followed, her hands trembling, as she balanced on the slippery stones. On the other side, the land changed. The air was colder. The trees were black and still. The ground was soft and wet, like it had rained. But it hadn't. In the distance, something howled. "Are we safe?" Lina whispered. "Only if you listen," Thayrun said. "Do not touch anything. Do not speak unless I ask you." She nodded quickly. Then he stopped. Before them was a small hill with a stone gate built into it. Symbols glowed faintly on the entrance. The door had no handle. "This is the gate of memory," the professor said. "Only those with true hearts may pass." Lina frowned. "But how do I open it?" Thayrun looked at her. "You will see, or you will fail." And with that, he stepped aside. Lina stood in front of the door. Her hands were sweating. She took a deep breath and reached out. But before she could touch it, the symbols flared bright red. Then a voice echoed from the stone. "What do you fear, child of Earth?" Lina froze. The voice wasn't in her ears. It was in her mind. "What do you regret?" it asked again. And then, the world around her changed. She was back in her school dorm room weeks ago, crying, alone, holding a letter from her family on Earth. They couldn't afford to visit. They couldn't help. "You're on your own now." "Lina." she heard her mother's voice say. "Be strong." "I don't feel strong," Lena whispered. Suddenly, she was back at the gate, breathing hard, knees shaking. The red light was gone. The symbols were white. The door opened. Behind her, Thayrun nodded once. "You are ready?" Lena stepped into the darkness beyond the gate. She didn't know what waited inside, but for the first time, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she could pass. Beneath the gate, she found a world not meant for humans. Lena stepped through the open stone gate, her breath short and nervous. The moment she crossed the threshold, the air changed. It was heavy, thick with some strange energy she couldn't describe. Her skin felt warm then cold. It was like the room was alive. The stone tunnel ahead was dimly lit by glowing lines on the walls. The lights pulsed slowly, like a heartbeat. Professor Thayrun followed her inside but said nothing. He walked behind her in silence, his tall shadow stretching over the ancient walls. "Where are we?" Lena asked, her voice soft. "This place was built long before the academy," he replied. "By those who remembered the First War." She turned toward him. "The First War?" Thayrun stopped. "The war that nearly destroyed both your kind and mine. The one your textbooks do not mention." Lena felt a chill. Why would they hide something so important? Because truth gives power, and power frightens those who hold it. They reached the end of the tunnel. A wide chamber opened before them. In the center was a floating orb, glowing softly with white light. Around it, massive alien symbols hovered in the air, turning slowly. The walls showed carved scenes, humans and alien warriors fighting side by side against creatures Lena had never seen before. Her eyes widened. This doesn't exist in any history book." Thayrun nodded. "This is the Memory Vault, a place banned by the High Council. Only those who are chosen can enter." "Why me?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I'm not special." "You are honest," he replied. "You seek to learn, not just to pass." Lena stepped closer to the orb. As she approached, it flickered, and then it spoke, but not in any voice she expected. It was her own voice. "I am Lena of Earth. I want to know the truth." The orb pulled her in. The world vanished. Lena blinked, and she was standing on a battlefield. But it wasn't real. It was memory, alive all around her. Explosions lit up the red sky. Human soldiers and alien fighters fought side by side against dark, insect-like creatures. She could hear screams, feel the heat of fire, smell the smoke. Then she saw her, a young human woman, brave and wounded, leading a group of alien warriors. Her uniform was burned, her face bloody, but she didn't stop. She was one of the first. Thayrun's voice echoed in the air. Her name was Captain Maya. She gave her life to save my ancestors. Lena watched as Maya charged forward, throwing a grenade and then collapsing with a smile on her face. The memory faded. She was back in the chamber. Tears were in her eyes. "That was real?" she asked. "Yes," said Thayrun. "But when peace came, humans were erased from our stories. Your people were seen as too wild, too emotional, too dangerous to be remembered." "That's not fair," Lena said. "No, it is not." He stepped beside her and pointed at another carving. It showed alien scholars burning scrolls. When lies become law, truth becomes danger. The orb pulsed again. This time, a new memory appeared. Lena stood in a quiet hall. Alien leaders were gathered around a table. One of them said, "We must remove humans from the archives. If they know the truth, they will demand respect." Lena's heart raced. Her exam wasn't just about history. It was about hidden history. When the memory faded again, she looked at Thayrun. "Why are you showing me this?" He looked at her with calm, glowing eyes. "Because I was there. I have waited many years for someone to prove worthy. Someone who sees beyond grades. Someone who wants to understand." Lena stood still, her hands clenched. I want to understand. Everything, she said. Then your test has just begun. Suddenly the orb went dark. The chamber trembled. The symbols in the air began to spin wildly. A voice roared from the shadows. You are not welcome here, human. Lena stumbled back. A massive stone figure stepped out of the wall, its eyes glowing red. Professor, what is that? The Guardian, Thayrun said calmly. It protects the vault. If you are unworthy, it will destroy you. Lena gasped. But I passed the door. This test is different, he said. You must prove your spirit, not to me, but to it. The Guardian raised a huge hand, glowing with energy. Lena stood frozen. What did she have to offer? What could make, it stop? She searched her mind and remembered Captain Maya. She took a step forward, raised her voice, and shouted, I seek the truth, not to change history, but to learn from it. The Guardian paused. Its eyes blinked once. Then the red light faded. It lowered its hand, the orb lit up again. Thayrun smiled. You may continue. She spoke the truth, and the vault answered. Back Lena stood still, breathing hard. The giant stone Guardian had backed away, returning to the shadows. The glowing orb in the center of the chamber now floated higher, brighter than before. Professor Thayrun stepped forward slowly. He was watching her, not just with his eyes, but with something deeper, like a judge studying a rare gem. You were not supposed to survive that test, he said quietly. Lena turned toward him, confused. Then why bring me here? To see if the vault would accept you, he answered. And it did. Lena's chest rose and fell. Her voice trembled. What is this place really? Why does it feel like it's alive? Thayrun nodded. Because it is. The memory vault is not only a chamber of history, it is a being. It chooses who can see what must be remembered. Lena looked at the orb again. It was calling her. She stepped forward, and the orb flashed once. Light spilled from it and flowed into the air, drawing shapes, maps, and symbols all around her. Then a voice, soft, ancient, female, spoke. What is your question, Seeker? Lena's eyes widened. The voice wasn't Thayrun. It came from the orb. I want to know why the truth was buried, she said. Images filled the room. Lena saw humans helping rebuild destroyed alien cities. She saw peace talks, joint missions, shared victories. Then she saw fear, alien leaders whispering, human ships growing stronger, warnings of independence. Then came the order. Erase their part in the war, remove their names from statues, change the records, make them look small. The truth hurt. They were scared of us, Lena whispered. Thayrun stepped beside her. They feared what would happen if humans knew how strong they once were, how important. She turned to him. Why are you showing me this? His voice was calm. Because the galaxy needs remembering, not more lies. You, Lena, may be the first to carry truth outside these walls in 100 years. The orb flashed again. Do you wish to carry the burden of truth? The voice asked. Lena swallowed. Yes. The chamber shook gently. A beam of light shot from the orb, straight into her chest. She didn't scream. She didn't fall. She simply saw. Suddenly her mind opened. 1,000 memories entered her thoughts. Soldiers crying for peace. Alien children thanking human doctors. Stories never written in textbooks. She gasped and dropped to her knees. Make it stop, she cried. But Thayrun placed a steady hand on her shoulder. You must let it pass through you, let it settle. Minutes passed, or maybe hours. She didn't know. But slowly, the flood became calm. The images faded, and Lena stood up again. Different, wiser. You carry the vault's blessing now, said Thayrun. Few ever do. Lena looked at her hands. Nothing had changed, but inside, everything felt new. I remember so much, she said, even things I never lived. He nodded. Now you know what we lost and why it must not stay lost. The orb pulsed again. It showed one last image, an empty throne, with a glowing symbol floating above it. A circle inside a triangle. Lena pointed. What is that? Tayroon's eyes narrowed. That is the mark of the Unity Seat, the place where humans once held voice in the Galactic Council. It has been empty ever since the erasure. She stepped closer. Can it be filled again? He looked at her. If someone strong enough stands up, maybe. Suddenly the orb dimmed. Tayroon turned to her. Our time is ending. The vault only opens once for each soul. After tonight, it will close to you. Lena took a deep breath. I'm ready. They walked out the same way they came in. But everything felt different. The forest was still strange, the air still heavy. But Lena felt no fear now. They reached the broken bridge, and this time Lena crossed without slipping. As the twin moons shone above, she turned to the professor. What happens now? He looked at her, his 4 eyes filled with pride. Now you return to the academy, he said, and prepare for your real exam. Back in her room, Lena stared at the stars from her window. The history test would come in 3 days. But now, she knew the truth no one else did, and that changed everything. The academy wanted her silent. But truth had already awakened. Lena sat quietly at her desk in the academy dorm. Outside, the alien skies turned violet as dawn rose. She hadn't slept since she returned from the vault. How could she? Her mind was full of memories that weren't hers, but now lived inside her. Names, faces, heroic human deeds, broken alliances, hidden lies. She now carried truth the academy had buried for generations. A soft knock tapped at her door. It slid open, without her permission. 2 tall alien guards stepped inside. Their armor shone silver. Their expressions were cold. Lena, of Earth, one said. You are summoned by the Dean. Her heart sank. So, they knew. The Dean's chamber was a vast dome of white marble and red crystal. At the center, Dean Zoll sat on a raised chair, his 3 hands folded across his chest. His skin shimmered like glass. His eyes never blinked. Professor Tayroon stood nearby, silent. The Dean spoke. You left the academy grounds last night, without permission? Yes, Dean, Lena said calmly. You entered the Forbidden Zone. Yes. You accessed the memory vault. Lena didn't answer. She just met his eyes. Dean Zoll narrowed his gaze. What did you see? History, Lena said. Which version? He snapped. The approved one, or the forgotten one? Lena took a breath. The true one. The air in the room turned tense. Even the guards shifted uncomfortably. Dean Zoll stood. Do you understand what you've done? The vault is sealed for a reason. Humans are not ready for that knowledge. Lena didn't flinch. Then why did your ancestors fight beside us? Why did you erase us from history? Zoll slammed his staff into the ground. A wave of energy crackled. You speak of dangerous things, human girl. And yet Tayroon spoke for the first time. She speaks the truth. Everyone turned to him. Zoll's voice rose. You helped her? You brought her into a restricted zone? She was chosen by the vault, Tayroon said simply. I only guided her feet. The vault opened to her, not me. Dean Zoll stepped down from the dais and walked toward Lena. You are a student. Nothing more. Lena lifted her chin. Not anymore. I carry the vault's memory. I saw the Unity seal. I know about the empty seat on the Galactic Council. Zoll's face tightened. You will forget what you saw, he said coldly. You will take your exam and fail quietly, or you will be removed from this academy. Lena stayed quiet for a moment. Then she said one word. No. Gasps filled the chamber. One of the guards even stepped forward, but Tayroon raised a hand. She has earned the right to speak, he said. Zoll's voice turned sharp. You think the council will listen to a failing human girl? She's not failing anymore, Thayrun said. He handed Lena a small tablet. Her new test. Score. She looked. It was perfect. A full score. I didn't even take the written test, she whispered. Thayrun smiled gently, because the real test was truth. Dean Zoll looked furious. But then, he laughed. Quietly. Coldly. Very well, he said. If you believe the council will accept you, try. Go ahead. But I warn you, child, truth without power is just noise. Lena held the tablet tighter. Then I'll find power. Back in her room, Lena didn't rest. She began writing everything. She recorded what she saw, the war, the lies, Captain Maya, the burning of the scrolls, the forgotten throne. She made copies, sent them to other students, quietly, secretly. Some didn't believe her, but some did, and among them were not just humans. Some aliens, too. They had questions of their own. Days passed. The exam came. Lena didn't even need to attend. The vault had already rewritten her story. But she went anyway. She stood before her classmates and gave a speech instead of an answer sheet. I am Lena of Earth, she said. You were told we were weak. You were told we were nothing. But your ancestors stood beside mine, and together we shaped the stars. The hall was silent, until someone clapped, then another, and another. Later that night, Thayrun found her by the academy fountain. You've started something that won't stop, he said. I hope so, she replied. The dean will fight. You? The council might silence you. I'm ready. He looked at her long and hard, then said, Good, because your next test won't be in a classroom. They called her a liar, but the stars begged to remember. For 3 days, Lena didn't go to class, not because she was hiding, because she was preparing. The data from the vault, the memories, the recordings, the old carvings, all of it was now packed into a small digital file marked The Truth of Humanity, Forgotten, Buried, Survived. It was dangerous, illegal maybe, but it was also real. Professor Thayrun helped her quietly. He said little, but she could feel his faith in her grow stronger with every step. Now she stood outside the most guarded place in the entire academy, the Galactic Council Broadcasting Tower, a tower that only council members could access. And she was just a student, a human student. But she had one thing they didn't: the truth. Inside the tower, 2 guards in gold armor blocked her path. You don't belong here, one said. Lena raised her chin. My ancestors stood in this tower centuries ago. You have no proof, the other snapped. She pulled out her tablet. It lit up, projecting a glowing symbol, the ancient unity seal. The guards froze. Where did you get this? One whispered. The vault gave it to me. They didn't move, but they didn't stop her either. Lena climbed the long, spiraling stairs. Her legs ached, but her heart was steady. At the top was a single room, empty except for one old machine, ancient, dusty, but still linked to every screen in the academy. It once broadcasted war plans. Now it would broadcast something stronger. Memory. She activated the console. It hummed to life. The lights blinked. Her face appeared across the school, in cafeterias, classrooms, even the dean's office. Students and teachers froze, watching her. Lena began to speak. I know what they've hidden from you. Not because I'm special, but because I asked, and the vault answered. Your history books are wrong. The humans were not guests in this galaxy. We were founders, fighters, healers. We helped build the peace you live in. She paused. All across the campus, whispers started. Eyes widened. She continued. I saw Captain Maya lead alien warriors into fire to save children. I saw scrolls burned by the elders, scrolls that held your true past. And I saw the unity seat empty waiting. She held up the ancient symbol. We do not want revenge, we want our name back. And if you carry even one drop of curiosity, you'll ask your professors why they never told you this. Ask them why they're afraid of students knowing more. Back in the dean's chamber, Zol was frozen. His claws gripped the arms of his seat. She's broadcasting. Thayrun stood beside him calmly. You said she was a student, he said. She is, Zol growled. Thayrun smiled. Then you should have known. Students don't just follow, they question. Lena's speech ended. The screen went black, but the echoes stayed. Students talked in hallways, some angry, some confused, some inspired. For the first time in years, truth had a voice. And that voice was hers, but Lena didn't walk back into glory. She was arrested within the hour, dragged out of the tower in chains. Cameras followed her. Students watched. Many were silent, but not all. A young alien boy stepped forward and whispered, "Thank you." Another girl dropped a flower at Lena's feet. She smiled through the pain. They locked her in a dark, cold cell. No bed, no light, no food. Hours passed. Then the door creaked open. Thayrun stepped inside. You made them listen, he said quietly. For how long? Lena asked. Long enough. He handed her a small item, her tablet. I copied your speech, he said, and I sent it off-world, to neutral planets, to humans living in exile, to council members who still remember Captain Maya. Lena stared at him, eyes wide. You did that? He nodded. The truth is out now. She leaned back against the wall, her eyes full of fire. So what happens to me? Thayrun's voice dropped. That depends. On what you choose next. The council put her on trial, but the galaxy had already chosen. Her Lena stood in the center of a glowing ring, cold metal under her bare feet. Her hands were bound. Bright alien lights shone down from above. Around her, in rising tiers, sat the Galactic Council. 17 leaders, 17 species, and all of them had eyes fixed on one small human girl. She looked tiny beneath the ceiling of stars, but her voice had already shaken their world. A council speaker stood, tall, feathered, with gold chains wrapped around their arms. Lena of Earth, the speaker said. You are charged with trespassing, unauthorized access to restricted history, and spreading unapproved knowledge to thousands of students. Lena looked up. Her voice was steady. I only told the truth. The room buzzed with soft murmurs. Dean Zol stood next. She broke laws. She accessed the Forbidden Zone. She hacked the central broadcast. This was not an act of curiosity, it was rebellion. Some council members nodded. Others looked uncertain. Then Thayrun stepped forward from the shadows. She accessed nothing. The vault chose her. Zol's voice turned sharp. You helped her. Thayrun raised his staff. I tested her. She passed. Another council member, old and covered in moss-like hair, leaned forward. You speak of a vault. Yet for centuries, we were told it was a myth. Lena took a step forward. It's real. I saw it. I remembered through it. She paused. And I can prove it. The council chamber dimmed as Lena tapped her wristband. A 3D image floated into the air. It showed the Unity seal, glowing bright. Then came images from the vault. Captain Maya charging into battle. Humans and aliens fighting together. Alien elders burning scrolls marked with human names. Gasps filled the chamber. Some members stood in shock. Others looked ashamed. You were not supposed to see this, one counselor whispered. But I did, Lena said. And now the whole academy has too. Zol shouted. Even if this is true, you've created division, fear, chaos. Lena stepped forward, fire in her voice. I didn't create chaos, you did, when you erased us. Suddenly, a younger counselor stood up. She was insectoid, small, with glowing blue eyes. I saw the broadcast, she said softly. And my grandmother told me stories of a human named Maya. She looked around the chamber. We were told to forget. But now, I remember. The room was silent. Then another counselor stood. Then another. A vote was forming. Not just on Lena's fate, but on the truth itself. Dean Zoll's voice rang out. This child cannot be allowed to go free. If you reward this behavior, the council will lose control. But one elder counselor, nearly blind, stood slowly and said, Perhaps it is time we stop controlling the truth. The vote was taken. Lights blinked one by one. Lena's heart pounded. 12 for release, 4 against, 1 neutral. She was free. But then something more happened. The eldest counselor raised a new proposal. We cannot erase what has been revealed. We must respond. The unity seal has not glowed for centuries, yet it glowed for her. He turned toward Lena. Let us restore the unity seat and offer it to this girl of Earth. The room froze. Even Lena couldn't speak. Zoll shouted in protest but was silenced by the gavel. The vote came again. 9 for 8 against. The unity seat was restored, and Lena was named its first voice in over 300 years. That night, alone in a quiet chamber, Lena stood before the empty silver throne. Above it, the unity symbol glowed like a star. Professor Thayrun entered behind her. You did the impossible, he said. She shook her head slowly. No, the vault did. He smiled. The vault showed you truth. You had the courage to speak it. She sat in the throne. It was cold, heavy, but it fit her, not because of power, but because of purpose. She was no longer a student. She was a voice, a symbol, a bridge between the forgotten and the future. She sat on the throne alone until Earth finally answered her voice. Lena had never seen space from this high before. Now, as the youngest representative in the Galactic Council, she sat in a clear observatory dome above the stars, watching 100 planets shine like distant fireflies. The unity seal hovered over her head, glowing gently. For the first time in centuries, it had a guardian. Her. But even with all eyes on her, Lena felt something strange. Loneliness. She had won the truth. She had earned the throne. Yet, she had no one from Earth beside her. 3 weeks passed since the council restored the unity seat. Lena had become a symbol of hope. Students at the academy whispered her name. Entire planets shared her speech. Alien children drew her face on walls. Yet Earth remained silent. No message, no recognition, no reply. One night, as she walked through the quiet halls of the academy, Thayrun found her sitting alone under the glowing trees. I heard nothing from Earth, she said softly. Not even a thank you. Thayrun sat beside her. Perhaps Earth is afraid, or perhaps they were never told. She looked at him. Told what? That their daughter now carries the voice of the stars. The next morning, Lena stood in front of the galactic broadcasting crystal. She didn't wear royal clothes. She wore her old student uniform. She faced the galaxy again. This time, not to expose lies, but to send a message from her heart. To the people of Earth, she began. I don't know if you can hear me. I don't know if my words will reach your oceans or cities, but I speak them anyway, because you deserve to know what happened here. You deserve to know that humans once stood beside aliens, not as followers, but as equals. She paused. And now, we do again. The message went out. She waited. Hours, then days. Still, nothing. Until one evening, as stars blinked quietly in the sky, a blinking red light appeared on the council's main comms tower. Thayrun found her moments later. His 4 eyes glowed brighter than ever. Lena, there's an incoming message. From Earth. She rushed into the chamber. The screen lit up. A familiar blue and green planet turned slowly in the frame. Then, static. Then, a face. Her mother. Tired, older than before, but smiling through tears. Lena. Her voice cracked. We got your message. Lena fell to her knees. Tears fell like rain. I thought Earth had forgotten me, she whispered. Her mother laughed gently. Earth didn't forget. We just never knew. Behind her, dozens of humans appeared, students, scientists, even elders, all cheering. A young girl held up a hand-drawn flag, half Earth's emblem, half the Unity seal. Lena stood and wiped her eyes. "I remember now why I started all this," she said. "It was never just about the truth." Thayrun nodded. "It was about belonging." 2 cycles later, a human ship arrived at the Academy. For the first time in centuries, Earth sent its own ambassador. Not to fight, not to beg, but to walk beside their forgotten daughter, who had become the bridge between species. The Academy built a new wing. They named it the Vault of Voices, a place where no truth could be buried again. Inside it stood a statue, not of Lena alone, but of her and Captain Maya, side by side. And, on the steps of the Academy, alien children now recited words that were once banned. We remember, we belong, we rise, together. Lena didn't return to Earth. She stayed in the stars, because this was home now, a throne she didn't seek, voice she never expected, and a galaxy that once silenced her now listened.